Hello, Kaylee. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. And first of all, welcome. And first ever female champion from Native American descent to become a champion in boxing. Congratulations on an amazing accomplishment.
Thank you so much.
A champion in two weight classes.
Two. Two.
So I want to talk real quick about the piercings. I love them. What are those about?
They're just, I'm obviously very vibrant in personality and persona. So I'm always trying to be different, but I've always been since I was like in teenagers, I was into the tattoos, the piercings, kind of a little emo-esque. So I wanted to do something different. And I woke up one day and said, I'm gonna get my cheeks pierced. It was like 12 years ago, and I've had them ever since. So
It's a great look for you. You have tattoos?
I have many. I have sleeves. I got leg. I got back. I got all kinds. I got in my ear, my mouth. I got them everywhere.
Did you ever get like a impromptu tattoo that you had to like cover up, or like a mistake tat? Did you ever do that one?
No, I don't have a mistake tattoo, but it was an impromptu tattoo. One of my friends, she's from the Pequot Nation. She was getting a gun tattooed on her face, like a little gun, and she's like, "You won't get it." So I was like, "Cool, I'll get it," and I got it on my hand. So it's pretty cool. I won't ever cover it just because it was such a cute story. We have the same tattoos, so I've never covered anything.
I made the fatal mistake of getting one time with an ex-girlfriend, like a matching tat, and everyone came after me. All my boys were like, "Dude, that's a bad decision." I'm like, "No, man, this girl's great." Ended up not being so great, but of course I wish her well.
Mhm.
So I had to cover it up, But tattoos definitely are symbolic to our lifestyle and our culture. Tell me about some of your tattoos.
So every tattoo I've gotten has put much thought into it. Being a very artistic person and being from indigenous descent, we love to tell stories. My cousin Taisha Real, she was actually on the Apprentice Ink Master. She
Oh
had just
wow.
started tattooing early, and she's always painted and everything. But it was like she just started off, so I was kind of like a guinea pig. So we kind of just started like with the story, and the better she got, the better my tattoos got. But I love it because it tells a story. They're pretty much everything means something. This one side is just homage to my Native American background. I got hawks. I got the end of the trail native. I got my Native American name. I also have one on my back that I drew when I was about 12 years old. It's a half Native warrior woman and half wolf. So I actually got that tattooed on my back. I drew it, and my cousin actually fixed it up because 12-year-old drawing tattoo doesn't really go. um, it would have looked like a 1-year-old tattooed me. I mean, the drawing was good, but she had to spruce it up a bit. You know what I mean?
That's
I
what's up.
have a Native American, huh?
My niece at one point wanted to get me when she was like way younger, like 6 years old. She's like, "You should get a frog tattooed on your neck." I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, I'm sure you can
No,
find
I mean,
I'm sure you can find an excuse for a frog to be symbolic to something, but I'm like, I don't think that's gonna work. But you're right. Every tattoo has a meaning. Like, I have unfortunately my dog passed away many years ago. So I got her collar here, I got my
yeah.
boxing gloves, and music notes and stuff like that. And I want to talk to you about, I'm gonna segue into music and stuff that is going on in your world currently right now. Obviously we all know what's going on. What do you do in the past the time? Are you watching TV shows, movies, listening to music?
I actually went most of February without my phone, without social media. Checking in on emails and DMs here and there just because I have to because of my lifestyle. But I literally turned my phone off and put it in a drawer, and I told my fiance I don't want my phone. So I just needed to disconnect a little bit. So I try to challenge myself. I read a couple of books, which are something I had put off because I was always on my phone. I love music. I listen to music. I listen to everything. It depends on how the wind blows or how my mood is. I like to paint. I haven't painted in a while just because of moving and stuff. I'm always training, always watching old fights. I try to find something, always challenge my brain, or whether it's brushing my teeth with the other hand or something. I'm very artistic, expressive. I have to do something different. I gotta challenge my brain, man. So I do love movies. I love TV shows, but I just can't be on like the autopilot stuff. It's a
You know, I'm,
cognitive thing.
I'm laughing because I do the same thing. Like, I started golfing and I suck, and I'm like, why not? It's the most socially distant sport of all time. And
Okay.
so I started golfing, and it has not been working out well for me. I mean, when I hit a ball hard, I hit it to outer space, but it's like very few and far in between.
Like
But
the
yeah, we've been like
Happy
playing.
Gilmore.
Yeah, Happy Gilmore. That's exactly what I do. And if
Yeah.
everyone's like, like about the golf course, people come up to you, and like obviously a lot of older gentlemen, and they'll be like, "Hey, you're doing everything wrong. Like, no offense, can I help you?" They're very nice, but the thing
Mhm.
is, I lift my leg like baseball, you know. And I know you know about softball because you played
Yep.
like every sport. We're gonna
Yep.
take a dive into that in a moment. So like when I'm golfing, I'm just like pulling back and swinging for the fences. And they're like, no, you can't do that. And they're like, you got to put your weight on your front foot. I'm like, I'm
It's
a boxer
counterintuitive.
and a baseball player. Like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. What are you talking about? No, no, no. That's
Weight
counterintuitive,
on
bro.
my front foot.
Yeah. I've never
So,
played golf. It looks boring. God bless you. How's it,
yeah. You know what I like about it is that you get to go have a beer. It's like the one sport where it's like socially acceptable to go have a drink because you can't
Yep.
do that with boxing.
No, I mean you could be Mayorga and like smoke cigarettes at the weigh-in, drink a beer, but he was a thug, man. I love that about him. He didn't care.
Oh, dude,
Oh
straight up,
man.
he would go in there and just kill it. Um, when he beat Vernon Forrest twice, and the
Mhm.
rematch especially was really, really crazy to believe that he won a 12-round unanimous decision. And I was like, because no one expected that.
Well, no, hell no.
And
What?
God rest Vernon's soul. Yep,
I don't know. You lost a couple of great ones.
absolutely. Yes, yes, we have over the years, but we still have a great one right here. And I want to talk about your story. You played basketball, softball. Um, you're the youngest of 5 children,
Mhm.
and growing up, it seems like you were getting it in with sports. Um, Tell me about your story, if you don't mind. Like, what got you on the path to combat sports and just being physically, athletically competitive?
Like you said, I mean, I'm the youngest of 5 kids. I got 2 brothers and 2 sisters. My brothers are like my real life superheroes. They were always into basketball. God bless my mom. She's very girly. She's a hairdresser. She was a ballerina for 18 years. She's a medicine woman of our tribe. She just wanted a girl with, curly hair that she can put into ballet. I was the total opposite. I was like, get me out of this ballet class. Can I climb a tree or something? Can I go play football with the guys? So I've always been in nature, playing with the guys, really rough house. And I loved basketball because my brothers loved basketball. And I've come from a single parent household. My father was in and out, so it was kind of just me and my mom. And I have an 8.5 year age gap between my older siblings. So it was just kind of like me and my mom. So I used to get on her nerves. She used to get on my nerves. I needed somewhere to put that energy. So basketball is a passion of mine. And then softball, I kind of tripped into that. I went to a practice with a friend of mine and I couldn't afford it, but the coach asked me if I wanted to play the scrimmage, and I like hit the ball hard, and there I was on a baseball team. It's just kind of like natural being an athlete. I started actually with music, playing the violin when I was 9 years old. So I was always into something creative, and I love the creative art of combat sports because even though it's brutal, it's an art, it's a science. You know what I mean? I've always been intrigued by boxing, but coming from, Providence, Rhode Island, the little state over there, you don't really see or hear too much, you know what I mean? So I didn't know the Vinny Paz's yet. I didn't know the Jamie Clampets yet. I knew who Marvin Hagler was. He was from Brockton. I knew that, but I didn't really see it. You know what I mean? Um, I saw it on TV, New York or Philly. I loved Rocky. I thought every time the old school HBO thing came up, Rocky was coming on. So we used to watch it, but I don't come from a fighting family, a boxing family. Fighting, yes, boxing, no. I asked my mom to play football. No, I asked her to play hockey. Absolutely not. So first of all, struggling with the fact that I was biracial and I was Native American and Cape Verdean in the city. I don't come from a reservation or that typical Native that everybody thinks every Native comes from. I wasn't Cape Verdean or Black enough. I wasn't Native enough because I have all this crazy hair. The biggest prejudice crowd was other natives, because we're mixed. So I was just trying to find my footing. The youngest kid is always the crazy one. So I want to be tough. My mom wanted me to be, poised. And I'm like, yeah, screw that. So it was just like trying to find my footing. everything I did with team sports was great. But if I had a great day and the four other people on the court didn't, like, dude, step your game up. What the hell? You know what I mean? I've always clashed with authority because I have a very strong personality, but I'm a perfectionist. So once I kind of started fighting in the street, fighting the boys all the time, it just made sense that this is the one thing that it's kind of exciting a little bit. But from about age 9 to about 12, I was really struggling with sexuality, father in and out, brother and sisters out to college. I needed something, and I at the age of 12, I had gotten taken advantage of by a kid that I thought I trusted in the neighborhood. That set it off. I started smoking weed when I was 11. Started drinking when I was 12. The neighborhood I grew up in wasn't like the worst, but it wasn't the best. It was the projects of my area. So there was a lot of influences. There was a friend of my mom's. He's Native American too. He's actually used to be a contender in the early 90s. He's by the name of Domingo Tall Dog. He used to fight. I used to bug him at powwows. I'm like, dude, can you teach me how to box? He's like, yeah, whatever. I'll show you some things. But I mean, I would go dance in the circle at the powwows and then go bug him at his booth because he sells jewelry. He showed me a couple of things. He came by the house a few times, even hung a bag, but he just basically wanted to shut me up. But I took it and ran with it. I watched Girl Fight and I was like in it. I was like, this is me. You gotta do it. I am Michelle Rodriguez. This is me. It was the first time after everything that I was going through that my mind would shut up and I would focus on that one thing. In the chaotic aura of boxing or any kind of combat battle, it's so quiet and poetic. And it was hard as fuck. I'm not to be like, it was hard.
No, you could say fuck all you want. It's
okay.
I
feel it. No, it's hard.
We're from the East Coast.
Hey, guy over here, I swear all the time.
Here now.
Over here. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, you guy.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you sound just like you live right next door.
I'm originally from New Jersey, and now I live in Vegas. I moved out here about 6 years ago. I was about 15 minutes away from New York City. Lived out there my whole life. Long story short, very close to Newark and Elizabeth. The food, like when you were mentioning Philly, I'm like, oh man, the food over there is incredible.
Amazing.
There's so many directions I want to go with this conversation. I could talk to you like all day here, but over here now. But here's what's up. Music by trade, I'm a drummer and a guitar player. You mentioned that you're a big fan of music. You played violin. That's a hard instrument.
Yeah, I played violin when I was 9. I don't know what it was about the violin. I knew it was hard. This is the thing. When I know something's hard, I want to try it. I just,
You like challenges.
I love challenges.
Yep. So I wanted to ask you, you mentioned the powwows. I wanted to talk to you about that because I was reading up on that. That's very interesting. I'm a very spiritual person. I like, meditate and all that kind of stuff. Tell us about powwows. What are those about?
So powwows, as they're called, are basically a gathering of our people. There's either ceremonies that are done, like we still are able to practice our ceremonies finally, because it wasn't always like that. So powwows are basically just a gathering. We do dance, we do music. There's food vendors, there's other craftsmen that make jewelry, that make regalia, that make different things. That's their trade that they get to sell them there. But it's basically just a celebration of our culture. Dance, we have competition, we have different categories from little kids to guys to girls to elders to the bigger powwows sometimes last from like 2, 3 to maybe even 4 days. The smaller maybe 2 days. Yeah, it gets there's one called Gathering of Nations. It's in New Mexico. It's the biggest powwow like ever. I still haven't made it there, but it's like 4 or 5 days long. It's huge.
Dang. No kidding.
Yeah.
I noticed that you mentioned jewelry. Excuse me. You wear a lot of jewelry, I've noticed.
Yep.
And so what are they symbolic towards? Like, what's the connection with that? Because I know that it does have a connection.
Well, this one actually is my grandmother's ring. She wore this forever until the day that we sent her off with my grandfather. And my mom actually gifted this to me. It was my grandmother's. It's a turquoise ring that she never took off. We as East Coast Wampanoag people in Northeast Coast, our stone we're known for wampum, which is basically the quahog shell. It's the purple and white inside a clam or a quahog shell. So we use that for jewelry or trade, barter. You could say money, but not really. It was just kind of as trade. The more purple it was, the more deeper purple it was more valued. You'd get our chiefs or our sachems that would wear wampum belts. So we're known for the wampum. It's just, status. You know what I mean? It's we have just it's kind of the same thing now, but for status, we save our best jewelry, our best regalia for powwows when we have competition. It's kind of showing off what we've been doing all winter. We've been weaving, we've been making baskets, regalias, moccasins, and everything. So our summertime, it's powwow time. It's time to show that off, dance, honor our creator, honor our ancestors, honor Mother Earth, honor each other, come together. Because after the winter months, man, you can go through the dark night of the soul. So you need that coming together as family, as a village, as our people. So I love jewelry, obviously.
Yeah, I noticed it. Like, I'm very observant, and that's what happens when you fight in the fight game. Like, you're always looking at something, and if you're a musician, muscle memory, reacting, and that's why I love combat sports. I got myself involved in Newark, New Jersey back in the day. I'm 42 years old now. I started boxing when I was 18, but it does something for your confidence and your awareness, and the best part is that it like alleviates any kind of tension you have. It's like, you know what? I don't need to fight. I don't need to be angry. It keeps people off the streets. It keeps people correct, because when I was a kid, I was bad. I was always getting into some shit. I had parents pulling knives on me because whatever I was doing with their daughters, it was terrible.
Oh man.
I was a bad kid. So I had to like straighten myself out. And boxing was the answer. So you got into boxing, like I mentioned before, great accolades. You're on a 4-fight win streak right now. Okay. What's next for you? What do you got going on?
I just recently come off the November WBA super lightweight title, which I never saw myself fighting at 140, because if you have done your research, most of my career, I'm self-made. I had no promoter, no manager, damn near sometimes no trainer, no permanent trainer, because everybody else was tied up with their own thing. So but I would never change that. So I feel like my career after the Breckus fight has gotten revamped because I have a great team now. I'm signed with DeBella. I have one of the best people, not just because he's my fiance, but Brian Cohen, starting with his father in boxing and management and just matchmaking, and then his knowledge and the people he surrounds himself with. We have a really good team and we all on the same page. So obviously unifying the 140 division is on my radar. Everybody wants to see me rematch Breckus. I mean, obviously I want that, but we'll be sitting here as old people if we're going to wait for that. I would love to. I already mentioned Jessica McCaskill maybe about 1.5 to 2 years ago as a good fight. Anywhere from 140 to 154 if it makes dollars and it makes sense at this point. But absolutely. I'm the type of fighter that loves to fight. Give me the fight. I want to fight the good fights. People, oh, you got 7 losses. Watch those fights. They're not really losses. Ain't nobody ever beat my ass. I can confidently say that nobody beat my ass. I might have gotten a loss, but I ain't never been beat. And ain't nobody gonna beat me. So
oh my God, you got me goosebumps right now. You got me goosebumps. And that's the thing. It's like I tell people all the time, like a loss isn't the end of the world. Like I got into boxing watching Evander Holyfield lose to Riddick Bowe. And that made me look at a metaphor for life. I don't know how old I was. I wasn't a teenager at that time. So I'm watching, I believe, I don't know. You get older and I got hit in the head a lot too, so I forget things.
Yeah,
but, so yeah. So basically, I'm sitting there. It's a metaphor for life to me. It connected. I'm like, this guy will get up no matter what and keep fighting and fight well. And then he loses and comes back in the rematch and has this stellar performance and makes all these adjustments, gets Emmanuel Stewart on board. And it was just like everything was connected that night. The guy jumps in the ring. Remember the parachute guy?
I know. That was insane. I remember watching that. I was like, what the hell is going on?
The best was the camera crew was trying to give like HBO a heads up, I think.
Yeah. Oh, man. I would love to be on the technical side of that. Oh, my God.
Only in boxing. We have the most bizarre things go on. Like, again, mentioning Riddick Bowe, like the incident with Andrew Galata with the cell phone, or the Zach Morris, like from Saved by the Bell, like when he was hitting, Bowe low to the where section.
Oh yeah, yep.
And the guy goes and smashes. I mean, only in boxing, man, and that's what I love about the sport. But also like when it's at its best, like Gotti Ward. Oh my God, like one of the greatest fights of all time. Castillo Corrales. Oh my God. And you mentioned your husband, Brian. I'm very thankful for him to set this up. And of course, Lou DeBella, great guy. And Sean, everyone at DeBella Entertainment, is just top notch, down to earth, the most classiest people you can meet on the planet.
And they love the sport of boxing. I love Lou because of his passion. People see him as an asshole. People see Brian as an asshole. Everybody's passionate. You know what I mean? We are assholes when we need to be, but we're very passionate assholes. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
That's a quote. I'm going to save it. I'm writing this down right now. Passionate assholes. Because that's really how I feel like I am. And that's what's amazing is that real recognizes real. You know what I'm saying? And 100%. So again, you know what I'm talking about over here.
Yeah, I do over here. Forget about it.
So, I want to talk about a couple more things. We mentioned music a little bit, movies, boxing, all that kind of good stuff, entertainment. I play video games. You said you were reading books. What kind of books have you been reading lately?
I just read a book. It's called The Art of Not Giving a Fuck, which I love. It's by it's a great book. It's an awesome book. I absolutely love it.
I was just taking a sip of my water and I almost blew it out of my eyes. Okay, talk to me about this book. Because some people watch the video version, some people listen to the audio version. So I'm not dying over here, but I almost literally spit water out of my eyes. Please tell me about this book.
It's amazing, and it makes sense about, people give a fuck about the wrong things. You have to give a fuck. You get people to say, I don't give a fuck. Well, you give a fuck enough to say, I don't give a fuck. You give a fuck about something, just don't give a fuck about the right things. You know what I mean? It breaks down even in religions. Like if you're an atheist, you believe in something because you believe in nothing. It's, you know what I mean? It's so basic and it's so real, and the author, I love how he is because he's funny, he gives real life references. And then I finished that one and went immediately to Everything is Fucked. This is another book, and it breaks other things down as well. He gets into all kinds of philosophies. He breaks things down. I learned a lot of history. I learned about the Vietnam War, the Buddhist who lit himself on fire, and why, and how passionate assholes do things. You know what I mean? So these two books, I'm telling you, are must friggin' reads, man. They're awesome because it's like us having a conversation. The way he writes, I love poetry for that, but when I just want to read something and laugh, read those books. I'm telling you, they're amazing.
Oh, you're absolute dynamite on this, spot on. And you got me thinking about stand-up comedians. George Carlin back in the day used to set the world on fire with that kind of philosophies of keeping shit real. I wish we had George Carlin nowadays in this world, because I think he'd set the world straight on a lot of issues. Not to get political.
He'd get arrested because everybody's so friggin' sensitive now, man.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
I can't stand it.
They said that, I saw in the news today, in California, there's going to be a restriction at amusement parks. I can't even get this out. At amusement parks, that there's no more screaming allowed on roller coasters.
Get the fuck out of here. Are you serious?
That's what I said. I went right up to my wife. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, so now what do you got to do? Wear duct tape? You can't scream on a fucking roller coaster? Are you kidding me?
About?
And then I saw back in the day around Thanksgiving, they're only 2 people allowed in your house, and you got to put your aunt and uncle on the front lawn and fucking throw them turkey and stuff. What? If it's your decision to go out and live your life, go out and live, be responsible, wash your motherfucking hands, put a mask on, but it's we know with fighting, it's the risks at boxing, the consequences. And as a fighter, myself, formerly as an amateur, and I do multiple martial arts and all that kind of stuff. And what you're getting into. So it's you should have the right to do what you want to do, but be responsible about it. Don't be a shitbag and go out and sneeze and cough on people, but it's
it's a shame that a pandemic had to come for people to have basic human fucking hygiene. Fucking that's what you do. We have to go through a pandemic for people to wash their fucking hands after taking a shit. Are you serious? Really?
I've been doing this my whole life. I've been living COVID my whole life.
God, man. And I've been rolling around in boxing gyms my whole life. I'm sure COVID ain't got a chance. I'm saying if I can go all around the world and roll around a boxing gym,
Exactly. And if you ever stayed at like hotels on the East Coast, like I'm pretty sure you're not gonna get COVID. You're impervious because we come from some areas, man. And the thing is too, it's like, but I always common sense. Like one time I was offered a spar and I'm like, oh man, I don't have my cup with me. And someone's like, we got a community cup. I'm like, no, I'm not rocking no community cup, bro. Like
gloves, maybe headgear, but a cup, bro? No,
cup?
I'm good.
Yeah, no, we ain't doing no cup
balls
up
been
here,
in this.
man. We ain't doing
Somebody else's balls have been in it, covered or not. Somebody else's junk has been lingering around.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, community cup, what's wrong with y'all?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because in boxing, you got to deal with, like you said, conditions. Like sometimes you'll wear other gloves. And, I'm going to say this to anyone that's listening. Don't share a mouthpiece and don't share a cup.
Yeah.
And wash your hands. Always.
Yeah, please do. And don't drop your mouthpiece in the spit bucket and then put it back in your mouth. Please.
The worst. I gotta say though, I was training. I got a good story for you. Back in Newark, I was thinking about spit buckets because that's how I got my start as a trainer, just like taking care of maintenance on the rings and stuff like that. There was a girl, her name was Jasana, and she sparred a guy, and he was let's see, both of them were about 13 years old, and this kid coming up was like helping older guys out at the gym, like setting them straight, giving them pointers, myself included. Chisana whooped his ass, broke his nose.
Oof.
And so, yeah. And she went like it was nothing, like business, walks out of the ring, cold, stone. And she goes over, gets a drink of water from the water fountain. And I said, girl, like, you are badass. Like, I mean, my goodness, like this kid was good. He's good. He's really good. He's going to compete in the silver gloves, eventually go on to compete in the golden gloves. And, I told her, I said, that's amazing. That's where I saw my appreciation for women's boxing. And I think that it needs to be more recognized. And Lou DiBella is definitely, and your husband, Brian, Sean, everyone at DiBella Entertainment, they're trying to get that going. I had Heather Hardy on the other day, great girl, great woman, I should say, and amazing personality. And you guys all have great stories. You studied criminology, like you all doing like so much. Like when I research you all, I'm like, what, man? Like this is insane. Like I'm like a two-trick pony. I know boxing and combat sports and music, but I'm like I research your all careers and your upbringings. I'm like, this is incredible. So what we need to do is make sure that we all follow this sport, this women's sport that is so great. And you guys give so much. I watch all the bouts, trust me. And, so what do you think we could do to advance, the acknowledgement of women's boxing?
I mean, just like you said, know who the fighters are, and we need to kind of like bridge the gap of women's boxing and men's boxing. There's good boxing, there's horrible men's fights, there's horrible female fights, there's good female fights, there's good guy fights, and there's amazing both men and female, male and women fights. My bad. So I can't even get it out fast enough. You know what I mean? I get so
passionate.
Yeah, I am very passionate.
But you're not a passionate asshole.
When I need to be. That leaf is turned over, but it's folded and put it in my pocket for later in case I gotta whip the asshole leaf out because it's there. Trust me. I keep it on deck. But
did you ever think about doing? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. What was you gonna add? Now I'm intrigued.
Did you ever think about doing stand-up comedy? You're absolutely amazing.
No, never. But I've dabbled in a little bit of acting, and I love that's all me and Brian do. Like, there's a requirement if you're gonna get managed by Brian and be on Team Empire, you gotta be an asshole. You gotta be an asshole. You gotta be team asshole. You gotta be funny. I mean, all we can do is laugh. You know what I mean? I love to laugh. I come from a hilarious family, but you don't know what the cards in the future might hold. Maybe I'll do some stand-up comedy.
That's what's up. You're cracking me up, and I can tell you have the acting background. Like on my show, I interview a lot of actors, directors, boxers, mixed martial art, anybody. If anyone's got a story they want to tell, a firefighter, police officer, anybody, like, you're welcome to come on. Like, I don't care how, how the world views how big or small you are or in between. Like, if you're cool and you got a story to tell, and you do something that I admire, which obviously you do, and we were talking about female boxing and what it's going to take to get to that point. So at the end of the day, I hope it does get to that point, because you all, you ladies, I get choked up here. You work very hard, and I know what it takes to be a fighter, and I know what it takes to put yourself out there, and the struggles, training, and sometimes the money's not there, and to keep a diet. I was working out at the Red Brick Gym in Newark, New Jersey, and I was competing against somebody, and he beat my ass. And I said to him, I'm like, he's in great shape. And I said to him, I said, yo, what's your diet, man? Like, how do you get this energy? He's like, I eat yodels. I'm like, fucking yodels? The Drake's Cakes yodels? He's like, yeah. He's like, that's all I could afford, because he had no money. That's all he could eat. And that's what he was eating to compete,
There's no diet recipe for the love and the passion you have for the sport, though. You know what I mean? And every great fighter has a fucking story, yo. I love hearing the stories. Like, I love boxers for the skill, but their stories, the comeback stories. Everybody's a sucker for a comeback story. Like, I don't care. I mean, as cliche as it is, Tyson is one of my favorite fighters, because where he is now mentally and spiritually, where he came from and what he's been through, and his vulnerability to tell his story is amazing to me. Like, I love the fact that he's told somebody he would eat their children, but now he's talking about the toad and meditating and smoking weed. Like, I fucking love it. It's amazing. Everybody has a good story. The assholes of the sport are the ones who get spoon fed and walked along this false confidence. Like, would you ever change your career? Fuck no. Give me my hard career with my trainer having a heart attack before we go to Bermuda to fight my title. Like, give me those things. Give me my back against the wall, because I'm a performer. I'm an entertainer. That's what's in my blood, man. That's where I come from. But I love hearing people's stories.
Speaking of backs, remember Mike Tyson? My back, my vertebrae, spinal.
My back is broken. Spinal.
Back.
My back is broken.
And then you're sitting there watching it. It's like, it's on television, so I guess I got to believe it. I'm like, yo, this is so. But you're right. Spiritually, he got to a next level. I think the ganja helps a little bit. It does with me as well. Me as well. Exactly. It's beautiful. At the right time. I actually had I just came back from a trip to New Jersey, and as soon as I got off the plane, my mom's like, "You want to smoke a joint with me?" Fuck yeah.
Absolutely.
6 a.m. in New Jersey, so I'm on 3 a.m. Vegas time, and we go out in the backyard at the house I grew up in and just puff, high five, peace out.
My mom gave me a brownie, gave me some oil. I was like, Mom, wait, what's this? She's like, yeah, my auntie so-and-so gave me this special brownie, and I got this oil. For my own purposes. But I was like, Ma, you been eating this? Where have you been? Like, how come you wasn't doing this when I was a teenager, bro? Where the hell were you? Good God.
I got another funny one for you. Is that, so I go to New Jersey and I bring airplane bottles so I could sip on the plane and whatnot. And then I have one that has an X on it, which is my cologne. So I have some cologne on me, because you can only bring a certain amount of ounces on the airplane, right? So my mom sees one of my airplane bottles, and she opens the cologne one and hits it, chugs it. And comes up to me, she's like, I think something's wrong with your vodka. I'm like, I think something's wrong with you.
What? Oh my God.
You just straight up drank cologne.
And she didn't tell about it? Wow. Your mom's a G.
She's burping all types of weird shit all day.
Oh my God. At least her burps and her farts must have smelled,
That's what I'm saying. I had to keep an eye on her.
Jersey, I mean, expect nothing less.
Exactly. That's what I love. East Coast personalities, man. Like the food. Oh my God, the food all day long. And I came home. I totally, overconsumption. Like I was just taking so much in. Like I'm going every place. And people are like, you really eat this much? I'm like, no, but now I will because I want to go to this place. The thing is with the East Coast, you got a place to get bread, you got a place to get meat, you got a
Yep.
place to go this, get the vegetables.
Yep,
You
the
know,
market on 9th Street, I go there to get the fruits and vegetables. I go over here, you know what I mean? I know all this stuff, especially just recently permanently being in Philly. Now I know. I'm like, yeah, we're just gonna go to 9th Street Market. Now that I know where it is, I'm like, this is amazing. Somebody gonna throw an orange at me while I run by like Rocky? Like this is great. I
I
love
was
it.
going to ask you, did you ever run up the Rocky stairs?
Of course I did.
Everyone does it, right?
Reluctantly, I'm like, all right, you got your phone, great. I'm gonna run up the Rocky stairs. I was so upset with it. I didn't know that they relocated the statue from the bottom of the stairs. It's not the top of the stairs. I was like, this is bullshit. I ran up here for nothing. I'm all winded. Like, what the this is bullshit. But nah, it's cool. I love Philly. I've always said that my
Philly's
boxing
beautiful.
school was born in Philly. Like and everybody told me, even like as an amateur, I didn't have much of an amateur career, but like you have that gritty Philly style. Like you're just gritty. I'm like, that's just, I don't even have an amateur style. I have a very gritty, don't give a fuck, let's go to war, but technical now that I've gotten a little bit older in my career. You know what I mean? But when it comes down to it, I just like to fight, man. I love the art of fighting, the battle.
That's the Philly, in you. And I used to go to the Blue Horizon with my father back in the day and watch the fights out there. And it's a very great city. Obviously, Bernard Hopkins, Joe Frazier, the list goes on and on. Beautiful skyline, beautiful city.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, one of the best. Like I'm big into architecture, and I love, the skyline there, the buildings, how symmetrical they are, and the people. As a musician, I used to play out in Philly a lot. City of brotherly love, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I used to play out there, and I played a lot in New York and just everywhere as a drummer for a couple different projects. In Philly, they'll stop and tell you, yo, man, that was some good stuff. Artsy city. That's what I love about it. Like the graffiti, on side
Yes,
streets.
they have the most murals. The murals, I get, they
The
have the most
murals,
murals in any city.
absolutely.
I've been here for a while, and I'm always looking out the window and just all the murals. But one thing about Philly is funny. You'll know you're in either west or north or south immediately. Everything changes. Like there's like an invisible line. I'm like, oh, we're not in South Philly. We're in North Philly, right? Yeah, all right. Yeah, I know. I know where we
Oh,
at.
absolutely.
But I love Philly. People are great. Like the boxing.
Right away. Like there's a transition. The first time when I left like the East Coast area, and I was working with a bunch of different bands and stuff like that, I went down to Tennessee. I immediately, which is a great place, but I immediately was like, wow, this is completely different. And then when people came and visited me, or I had other musicians come and work with me, and they came to Jersey or the East Coast area, New York City, they realized right away that things are very, very different.
Very different.
But it's got a thing, like there's nothing better to me than that East Coast area around the winter time, around Christmas. Like it's just got a vibe, like going down to Chinatown in New York or Little Italy, and all the different types of foods, like the culture and the people, and like
Yes.
obviously going to Times Square. It's like those are things that I miss now because like I'm in Vegas. I'm right by the Strip, honestly, but and it's great, and I love it out here. The food is
Yeah. Yeah.
gotta pay
I've
for
never
it like
been to
everything.
Vegas. I've never been to Vegas. I heard it's cool. I'd love to fight there or go there or fight there. But people ask me if I ever want to relocate from east, northeast. I'm like, I appreciate the winter. I appreciate the change of the seasons too, because I wouldn't want it to be hot all the time, or I don't want to be stuck cold all the time. I can appreciate where it is, all the seasons. I like visiting different places around the world. But I like the east, northeast coast, man. I don't mind Cali. Cali was cool. Especially because coming from East Coast, you think, especially coming from Rhode Island, because our state is 45 minutes long, literally. So I'm like, I forget that California is so big. So there's cold parts of Cali, there's really hot places of Cali, but I love it over here.
Yeah, I'm going to Cali in a week to train in high altitude for martial arts, and I'm very excited. I got a master trainer that is just a really cool guy. We're gonna do a bunch of stuff, and it's gonna be a week process, and we're going on hikes and meditation session. It's gonna be like some like old school like 90s martial arts like film, like like Best of the Best Part 2, when they're training to fight Brachus and they're in the desert and you know, like all this type of
Yeah.
like. And so I'm trying to get myself in shape for it. 'Cause I'm okay. I've been working out, but this is like next level. They're like, we're gonna make you do like spinning back jump kicks. I'm like, yeah, I can't do that.
No, you're not. I'll watch somebody do that. That sounds awesome though. It sounds like you're gonna train with Pai Mei and shit from
Oh,
Bill
it's gonna
Bill.
be
Sounds
crazy.
awesome. That
I'm gonna
sounds
document
awesome.
the whole thing, and it's all the way like you said in Cali. He's like, it's gonna be cold. There's snow up here still, and he's like, you got to bundle up. And so I was watching training videos, and I'm like, whoo! But what did we say before? We love challenges.
Love
Like
challenging. Love
I
challenging.
want to be
That sounds
challenged.
absolutely. Somebody asked me recently, I was help training somebody, and she's like, how do you know how to train? Like, how do you know what to do? Like, what's your training regimen? I'm like, if I have a goal in front of me, which is I sign a contract for a fight. I'm always in fight mode, but I also learned later on, you have to have that switch. So I have to rest and I have to, I have to have that difference. I have to have that rest and chill mode. So I have that switch for that kill mode. You know what I mean? But I was like, when I'm in the gym, if I'm not challenged or if I do things that are too easy, I make it harder. If I do 6 rounds in the bag really hard, but I'm not winded and I don't feel like I'm about to pass out and throw up simultaneously, I'm gonna add 2 or 3 more rounds. If I spar somebody and it's easy, I don't feel like they got the best of me at least 2 or 3 rounds, I'm gonna do more rounds. That's how I know how to train. It's instinctive training. Like I'm a Virgo, so I'm like very schedule oriented. But as far as training, we try to tell me and Brian, because we train a lot of fighters, we tell them it's instinctive. We may have a plan, but if we can see that you can do more or you can do less or you need a fucking rest day, we instinctively train. And that's kind of coincides with when you're in a fight, you have to learn how to adapt. You have to be an instinct. If you know you got your fighter hurt, but it's just the beginning of the round, but you're trying to get your rounds in or you want to just end the show, you have to be really instinctive. You have to move and like react like that. So we have days, we might spar these days, but something might change. We might say, no, fuck it, wake up at 4 and let's go do hill sprints across the street. Oh, you got to keep yourself on your toes. You always got to learn. There's never going to be a ceiling with me. I'll never know everything about anything. So I'm always learning from anybody. It could be 6-year-old kids sparring in there, but I'm watching because I want to see what they do, how they think, how they move. It can be somebody who's in a boxing class that can't fight their way out of a wet paper bag with scissors in their hands, but I might see that they move their back feet very well. So that's very interesting. Let me look. You know what I mean? I'm very observant. I just love to learn. Put it that way. I don't care
Yeah,
what it
me
is.
too. And I'm a music instructor by trade nowadays, and you could always learn off your student, and what makes you better. And then plus, this as a teacher, you teach, boxing and whatnot, is that you're working on the rudiments, the foundation, the fundamentals, and that keeps you sharp. That makes you like really, really strong with your structure, and then teaching other various people because everyone's different. You also get better at like learning and adapting. And sometimes you'll see your own student do something that you're like, well, what was that? What did you just do there? That was pretty
Yeah.
impressive, you know? But
Mm-hmm.
I got to say this before I let you go. This is one of the best interviews and experiences I've ever had. Like you are
Thank you
just
so much.
absolutely wonderful. All my guests are always great. And I've had about 50 people on in the past year. And this one, like, it's just so special, like connection here, like crazy. I want to thank Lou, Brian, Sean, and yourself. Where can we find you? Where can we follow you? How could our fans and listeners know how to follow what you're going to be up to?
Well, I know Facebook is now the new MySpace, but I do keep up on my Facebook. My fan page is ko-kaylee, Kali Reis, Reis. That's kind of where the elders or the people, the kids that follow me. I keep that clean. That's real clean updates on fights, motivational quotes. I'm an Instagrammer, KO_NDNBXR, like Indian boxer. My stories sometimes are crazy. I keep people updated, laughing, or one day I might feel philosophical. One day I might feel like posting some stupid shit that I saw that made me laugh. I don't care. Twitter, I didn't tweet much, but now, the Twitter streets are not safe because that's a place where I really don't give a fuck. It's KO_. I just don't care.
Like Twitter is like a hot dumpster for everybody. Like
For real,
I
it's
do
like,
the same thing. It's like everyone's different on Twitter. It's like
I don't know what it is. It's like, yo, I have a thought, I put it up. Like I'm so fucking rude to people. Like, well, I still think this fighter. Well, I still don't give a shit. Like I just don't care. Like whatever.
it's so funny because Twitter like does that. Like Facebook is kind of like neutral,
Yeah.
And the thing with Instagram is that you got to post a picture. So like someone's not going to take a selfie being all depressed and my life sucks and like put that like vague, like, you know, what's going on thing happening. Like, 'cause, you know, people post things. They're like, oh, this is happening again. My life is fucked. And then people like start, you know, commenting. So if you go on Twitter, it's different. It's like a little bit more, you know, fun and happy and the selfies and people having fun. Twitter is just a fucking firefight.
Oh my God, it's amazing. I start fights. I don't even care. I will instantly get the fuck out of something. I put people eating popcorn. I'm like, oh man. It's just, and it's also as being an athlete and also an actor and an entertainer where I am just building like following. You get to kind of see my layers because I'm not just, you know, the Native American Cape Verdean fighter. I'm not just, you know, a wife. I'm not just a mechanic. I have so many different layers, but I kind of know, all right, Facebook, I have my elders. I have my Native elders. I have a big Native following on Facebook. So I keep it respectful. You know, if I'm speaking at the National Mall, which I have, I keep it respectful. If I'm in New York City on stage talking to people to understand what the fuck I'm saying, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? So it's just, I'm relatable. I don't want to be one dimensional. I don't want to try to have this persona that all athletes and everybody's perfect. If I'm having a shit day, I've been through depression, I've been through suicidal thoughts, everything I've been through, I have no problem talking about. And my vulnerability has been so fucking healing that something like Twitter, for people that really want to see the shit I talk, go right over there, KO_MOC86. I will talk about anything. I'm a whole open book. I love sharing my story.
Oh, I could talk to you for like 2 days straight. This was
we gotta do another one, man.
You're comfortable. We'll do it again very soon. You're comfortable in your own skin, and that's what life's all about. Like, and that's where I'm at. You know, I got in there, and you know, I studied Buddhism, and I had a lot of enlightenment and stuff like that. And like you said, sometimes I'm very spiritual, sometimes I'm just fucking pissed off. But it's okay. It's okay. But that's why we do what we do. We keep ourselves busy. We, you know, I tell everyone this: like, don't take action on any negativity. You know, find something, find a sport, find a hobby, you know, do something that, you know, makes your life feel complete. Because what we do, we always know that we have a fallback plan. Like you box, you do a lot of stuff. So you have that salvation. I play music, I box, I do a lot of stuff. So I have that salvation. So people, like, I always tell them that are like wound up, I'm like, what are you doing? There's like, I just go to work every day. I'm like, you need to find something. You need to find, like, start sewing. I don't know. Just anything. Start bartending, like making food recipes at the house, drink, whatever you want. Like, just find an outfit. Like, well, you know, I'm too old now to do certain. I'm like, you're never too old, bro. Like, look at Holyfield, Tyson, Roy Jones, everybody, Antonio Tarver. Look what all these people are doing. You're never too old. I'm 42. I'm gonna go train in the mountains and learn fucking spinning back kicks.
That's awesome. I have got to talk to you after that because I might want to go on that trip next.
Absolutely. I can't wait to talk to you again. I appreciate you so much. The show will be up everywhere: iHeart, Spotify, iTunes, Google, Amazon, YouTube, everything. Video, audio version. And this was a wonderful, wonderful time. I cannot thank you enough.
Awesome. Thank you. As we say to Butney, thank you so much for your time. And I'm looking forward to talking to you again. Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime.